Hey everybody, welcome to Play Like a Zone right here on my live YouTube channel. This is me, Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Greene. We're live here from the mountains of North Conway. Every once in a while we take this show on the road, and we are on the road. And so are the New York Jets. They play the LA Chargers today at 4:05, but of course we do our pregame show at noon for all these shows all year outside of the primetime games and outside of that Jets-Rams game, which is still TBD of which games are going to be selected for Saturday. All our pregame shows for the rest of the year will be at noon, so make sure you check your calendars. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate all the support this year. And as I always say every week, I picked a hell of a year to start a live pre- and post-game New York Jets show every week. Nonetheless, here we are. And everybody, the Jets are 0-9 for the first time in franchise history. I hope you enjoyed the bye week last week. Because of all the COVID protocols, we did switch the games of when, who is going to play what. And that is, of course, why the Jets are playing the Chargers today as opposed to when they would have played them next week into the future, because the Jets bye week was supposed to be this week. But as we know, in 2020, you have to be willing to adapt or die. Before we get too deep into the show, I'll give a shout out to my sponsors. But first off, every week I try to wear a jersey or something of significance for some sort of reason. Well, this week I'm wearing the LaDainian Tomlinson jersey, and obvious connections because the Jets are playing the Chargers, who were formerly San Diego, and that is where LT played the majority of his career. I'm a former running back. For those who don't know, I played high school football, never played anything greater than that, but nonetheless, I admire running backs. I love running backs. I love watching tape of running backs. One of my favorite running backs of all time was, of course, LaDainian Tomlinson. So when he played for the Jets, when he signed with the Jets, I was like, oh my God, that's, of course, a jersey that has to be gotten. And my dad hooked me up and got this one, LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. So I love when I could dust this one and pull this one out of the closet. So we have Jets, Chargers today, so LaDainian Tomlinson. And again, it harkens us back to the great times as Jet fans. I brought it up 2 weeks ago when the Jets had the Monday Night Football game against the Patriots, and I said that, that 2010 playoff upset of the Jets in Foxborough is the greatest Jet memory fandom moment of my career of 20-plus years of being a Jets fan. And LT, of course, was a part of that historic season. He, of course, was bringing the Dennis Byrd jersey to midfield before the game, and there was the inspirational quotes and the inspirational comments. So LT, for what he did with the Jets, obviously what he did for his entire NFL career, a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So the LaDainian Tomlinson jersey will be rep not only on this show, but while we're watching the Jets and Chargers later at 4:05. Speaking of this Chargers team, we all think the Jets at 0-9 suck, right? That they're terrible. They've never been 0-9 in franchise history before, but the Chargers have a different kind of pain they're dealing with. The Chargers are 2-7 on the year, and every game, win or loss, has been decided by one possession all year long. So most of the time, obviously, with 7 losses, it's been mostly painful for Charger fans. And I've made this perfectly clear. I'm interested to see what any of you fans think who are listening in. Thanks for joining us, by the way. If you'd like to drop questions or comments, do so in the YouTube live chat. Depending on how you're viewing this, it'll either be here or below. Nonetheless, make sure you drop in some comments, questions. We'll get to them live here on the show. But I'll tell you this, is that the Chargers have a unique way of hurting their fans. So, okay, every loss this year, or win for that matter, has been a one-possession game. So there's one nugget. Number two, they've had 16 one-possession losses since 2019. That is by far the most in the NFL. And if that wasn't enough, here's a third nugget. The Chargers enter this game on a 3-game losing streak, and they've blown 4 16-point leads this year. Yikes. I mean, the Chargers are 2-7, but I know Bill Parcells says you are what your record indicates, but you're not always what your record indicates. In this particular case, the Chargers are a much better football team than their record suggests, and their quarterback, Justin Herbert, who we'll get to in a little bit, is playing phenomenal football, and I think that surprised a lot of us with where he was drafted and kind of the analysis and report on him coming out of college. We'll get into all of that. But this, believe it or not, appears to be the most, quote, winnable game on the Jets schedule, because the Chargers, again, their fans are used to this, if any of their Charger fans are joining us here on the YouTube live stream, but the Chargers find ways to lose games. So maybe this is the one that finally they cough up. This was also a nugget. right here is the Jet Zone. That's my weekly New York Jets podcast. I had Daniel Wade of Locked On Chargers join me this week. And this is a nugget I forgot. Maybe some of you guys will remember. The Cleveland Browns, when they went that 2 years of winning like only one football game, that one game they won was against the Chargers. I had forgotten about that till Daniel brought it up on my show. So, again, a lot of painful memories there for Charger fans. So they're really hoping they're not the first team to lose to the Jets because, of course, that would be a massive embarrassment for the Chargers. Before we get too deep, I see some comments already coming in on the YouTube live chat. First off, I got to give two shout-outs to two wonderful sponsors that have been supporting us all year long, and any support you can give them is wonderful because they supported this podcast. It's a brand new venture for me and something I hope we can continue to build into the future. This beautiful banner behind me was personally customized by a diehard New York Jets fan. His name is Edward Delgado. You can find him on Facebook, El Chapo at Flags. Give him a like. Also, he doesn't just do Jets banners. He can do whatever you need for your man cave, tailgate, whatever. He can make a customized banner. This was personalized. This is exactly what I requested. The fat Jets logo in the middle. The Jet Zone podcast, good friend of mine, Scott Mason, the Play Like a Jet podcast, and thus the name Play Like a Jet Zone. So hit up El Chapo of Flags. Search them on Facebook. Give them a like. They got great prices, great quality, and this has been my banner all year long. And sponsor number 2 is a local delicacy for anyone who's listening in from the Oswego or Central New York area. One of my sponsors is Jabber's Oswego award-winning chicken wing sauce. It's terrific. You can get bee sting, garlic, Parmesan, El Diablo. If you want spicy, you want sweet, whatever you want. It is in the YouTube description, the number to text. Make sure you do. Also, let them know that Play Like a Jet Zone sent you. They're $10 for a mason jar bottle, handmade of beautiful wing sauce. So you can put on wings, you can put on burgers, you can put on chicken, whatever you want. Make sure you do. Support local business. This is a world pandemic. Everyone's going through tough times, but particular the local businesses are really struggling right now. And again, it's a phenomenal product. It's not just giving money to charity. You're giving money to a great business that can give you some wonderful food and help you tailgate, which is what I plan on doing after this show. But nonetheless, so make sure you support those two sponsors, El Chapo of Flags behind me. And again, Oswego's award-winning chicken wing sauce. And if you're not from Oswego, you're like, Paul, that sounds great, but I'm not from there. Guess what? He ships the sauce. It's perfect. It's a perfect world. So you can get that sauce shipped to you. You can get as many or as little as you want. Again, for a nice mason jar, it's only $10. And then you ship it to you. And you can use it forever. It's great for a long time. So, again, make sure you do it. My favorite and my fiance's favorite is garlic Parmesan. It is chef's kiss. All right, let's get to some comments here, Mike. And the Chargers are the best/worst team in the league. I would agree with that because, like, on some ends, you look at the numbers that they've put up, both offensively and also Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has been a freak. Ever since he came in after the Chargers team doctor punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung, again, did he have Justin Herbert on his fantasy team? Maybe there was an easier way to do this. He punctures the lung of Tyrod Taylor, so he's out for the foreseeable future. And suddenly Justin Herbert's thrown in. And, man, he was in that Chargers-Chiefs game with little to no heads up on that game at all. And Justin Herbert delivered phenomenally against the Kansas City Chiefs. And it wasn't just a one-hit wonder, okay? He was able to deliver over the course of the rest of the season so far, and he's been terrific. Quite frankly, if I had to vote for a Rookie of the Year right here, right now, it would be Justin Herbert, not Joe Burrow. That's how well Justin Herbert has played this year for the LA Chargers. And, boy, do they have weapons. That's going to be the key to the game. The Chargers wide receivers versus the Jets corners. We'll get into the injury report in just a second, but the Jets only have 5 healthy corners in this game, and 3 of them are rookies. Bryce Hall, Javelin Guidry, and then also they're going to have Lamar Jackson. No, not that Lamar Jackson, the other Lamar Jackson. Nonetheless, even if the real Lamar Jackson was here, they would still need help. On the Chargers side, they got guys like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He's been a very volatile receiver this year. He's had games where they've been great. He's had games where it's been bad. Super inconsistent. Sorry for any of you fantasy guys out there. From a pure talent perspective, he is terrific. Hunter Henry at tight end is a phenomenal player as well. Austin Eckler will not be back for this game, but he's projected to return shortly. But the guy they do have, checks notes, Kalen Ballage. Yes, the Jets cast off at running back suddenly is RB1 for the LA Chargers, so there could be a potential revenge game here against the New York Jets. Kalen Ballage already had a little bit of slice of that last week against the Dolphins. 2 straight games of 15-plus carries, 15-plus touches for those LA Chargers, and Justin Jackson is out. He's on IR. Joshua Kelly, the other running back in the backfield, the big fella, he's actually been struggling recently, so I think it's going to be a lot of Ballage. It'll be the Ballage Mahal. It'll be the Ballage attack on the New York Jets, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes buck wild, as every other player that has escaped from Adam Gase so far this season. So Kalen Ballage, you talk about the offense, you look at the wide receivers, you look at the tight end. This offense is explosive, and that, to me, this could be a bloodbath. I know I've said that the Chargers all year long have been in one-possession games, whether wins or losses. In this particular case, I think we'll have the first non-one-possession game. That, to me, that X factor in the game that will determine one way or another, I think the Chargers are just going to rip apart the Jets. Now, the other side of the coin, Joe Flacco will be getting the start for the New York Jets. Sam Darnold is out. Although we do have some positive news, it's, quote, looking good for Sam Darnold next week. It's weird because we had initial hope that Sam Darnold would be back after the bye for this Chargers game. Then Adam Gase on Monday said, oh, boy, no chance of Sam Darnold this week and hopefully next week. But he didn't sound optimistic. So all of a sudden, there's 7 games left in the Jet season. If he can't play this week, that's 6. If he can't play the next week, that's 5. He's running out of time. The morsels of sand, the little grains of sand in the hourglass are running out on Sam Darnold's time with the New York Jets, quite simply because of opportunity. If the Jets have the number 1 pick, there's no conversation. Of course they're going to go with Trevor Lawrence. The only way Sam Darnold can prevent that, of course, is by being healthy, which he hasn't been, and winning football games. If he wins games, he changes the Jets' destiny. If they don't have an opportunity at Trevor Lawrence, they can't draft Trevor Lawrence. And thus, with those 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years, they'll instead build the talent around Sam Darnold there on that offense, and a lot of help, obviously, on the defense as well. So, obviously, Sam Darnold can't do that this week, maybe next week. Quote, looks good. And we'll see if that continues to be the case. Again, the shoulder issues for Sam Darnold. But on the Joe Flacco side, Joe Flacco actually looked pretty confident for 3 quarters against New England Patriots before imploding on the side of the road with a horrible. But Joe Flacco looked to kind of cock it back deep against the LA Chargers. Now, the interesting thing here